Hello, District 289. This is Mr. Younger, and I'm going to read one of my favorite books, the one I really enjoyed reading my daughter when she was younger. It's called The Gargling Gorilla, and it's by Margaret Mahay, who is a British author. A few of the words might be ones you're not familiar with because they're from Britain or just that they're kind of unique words. So as the video goes on, I'm going to explain what those words are on the other frame over there. Hope you enjoy The Gargling Gorilla. Rosa Sungrove, the well-known animal lover, was going out for the evening, so she needed someone brave and kind to feed all of her pets. Tim, who lived next door, agreed to help her. "Are you brave?" she asked him. "Oh, very brave," said Tim. "I'm not afraid of spiders or sharks or alligators, but I'm very kind, too." "Good," said Rosa. "You sound just like the one to look after my pets. Now, let me explain. The cat likes cat snacks, and the cat snack pack is in the tall cupboard. The tall cupboard is beside the fridge, and the fridge is over there, on the other side of the sink, right?" "Right," said Tim. "However, when the vulture sees the cat being fed, he often gets a little peckish, and I don't want a peckish vulture around the place. The vulture chunks are inside the fridge, over there on the other side of the sink, and they are in the blue bowl, right?" "Right," said Tim cheerfully. The vulture looked down from its perch and clacked its beak. Tim smiled at it. He was not afraid of vultures. "The wolfhound is outside under the camellia," Rosa went on. "When she smells the vulture chunks, she gets very hungry. Her doggy crunch is in the little cupboard this side of the sink, but her dish is on the bottom shelf of the tea trolley, beside the fridge, over there on the other side of the sink. She must have her dish or she gets nasty. It's not her fault. She just does. Right?" "Right," Tim agreed. When the giant chinchilla rabbit hears the rattle of the doggy crunch being poured into the dog bowl, it often thinks it's hearing rabbit nibble being poured into the rabbit dish and comes rushing inside. Chinchilla rabbits are mostly gentle, but this is a giant chinchilla rabbit," Rosa warned Tim. "If you don't feed her, she will try to bounce on you, and she is dangerously heavy. The rabbit dish is the red one on the top shelf of the tea trolley, there beside the fridge on the other side of the sink. And the actual rabbit nibbles are in the large economy-sized purple packet on the top of the fridge. And when you have finished feeding the animals, you might get a little refreshment yourself. The tea is in the yellow jar at the end of the shelf on the other side of the sink. The bread tin is next to the yellow jar, and the butter and cheese are in the fridge. And the biscuits are in the green box. Good luck, and now I must go." But as the door, Rosa stopped and said, "Oh, by the way," she called, "the gorilla is in the cupboard under the sink." "The gorilla? In the cupboard under the sink?" Now, of course, most people know that gorillas are gentle and retiring, but Tim was unaware of this. The very bravest people can be scared of at least one thing, and Tim, although brave about absolutely everything else, happened to be scared of gorillas. "When I took this job," he thought to himself, "I did not know a gorilla was involved." At that moment, something in the cupboard under the sink began to gurgle, or perhaps to gargle. However, a gargling gorilla is just as scary as a gurgling one. Tim made up his mind to keep away from the cupboard under the sink in case the gorilla put out a hairy hand and grabbed him as he was going by. But it wasn't easy, for the sink and the cupboard under the sink were in the very middle of the kitchen. First, Tim fed the cat. He took the fire tongs and tied the tong handles to the handles of the broom and the mop, and then he reached over and after several goes, opened the tall cupboard beside the fridge, sucking out the cat snack pack with the vacuum cleaner. Then he lightly spiked the cat snack pack with a fork tied to the handle of the thing that you used to wash up the high-up windows, twisting it ever so cleverly so that the cat's dish was soon filled with delicious cat snacks. The cat didn't seem to be at all frightened of the gorilla. It ate its dinner right in front of the cupboard under the sink. When the vulture saw that the cat was getting something, it stretched its neck greedily and flapped its wings. Tim did not want to walk past the cupboard under the sink in case the gorilla put out a hairy hand and grabbed an ankle. On the other hand, the poor vulture was certainly very, very hungry. It began staring at the cat with a sinister expression. Being kind, Tim had just to feed it. First, he used the tongs to reach past the sink and open the fridge. And then he took the thing that you used to wash high-up windows with, which still had the fork tied to the end of it, and he reached into the blue bowl inside the fridge. He spiked the vulture chunks one by one, passing them, on the end of his fork, up to the vulture on its perch. The vulture gobbled them down, clacking its beak with happiness in between gobbles. The smell of the vulture chunks brought the wolfhound in from the veranda. Her doggy crunch was easy to reach, but when Tim tried to give it to her in a china soup tureen instead of her dish, she turned nasty and started snapping her teeth. She couldn't help it. Her dish was on the bottom shelf of the tea trolley beside the fridge on the other side of the cupboard under the sink, with the gorilla gurgling or gargling inside it. The wolfhound saw Tim was hesitating. She put her giant paws on his shoulders and began slapping his face with a tongue like a wet carpet. It showed him just how sharp her teeth were. They were very sharp. The tongs would not reach quite as far as the wolfhound's dish. Fortunately, a fishing line that had belonged to Rosa's uncle was over the fireplace in the sitting room. Tim quickly cast the hook over the edge of the dish, reeled it in, and filled it with doggy crunch. Soon the whole kitchen rattled with the sound of the wolfhound crunching, the vulture clacking its beak, the cat snacking on cat snacks, and the gorilla gargling under the sink. Tim was about to relax a little when the giant chinchilla rabbit came bounding in. It was a very big rabbit indeed. It made nibbling noises and looked hungry. Tim was so kind-hearted that he couldn't stand it, and he wanted to help. But it wasn't easy. He cast with his line again, pulled the tea trolley over, retrieved the red rabbit dish, picked up the tongs, and reached over and got the rabbit nibbles down from the top of the fridge. Gargle, gargle, went the gorilla under the sink, furious because Tim had been too clever for it. When Rosa arrived home a moment later, she found the rabbit nibbling, the wolfhound crunching, the vulture clacking, the cat snacking, and the disappointed gorilla gargling. The mop and the broom and the thing used for washing high-up windows were in their right places. The tongs were beside the fire, and the fishing line was back over the mantelpiece. "How well you've done!" she cried. "You are obviously brave and kind." The only one I haven't fed is the gorilla," said Tim apologetically. "The gorilla!" exclaimed Rosa. "Yeah, the gorilla in the cupboard under the sink," explained Tim. "Oh," said Rosa. She began to laugh. She opened the cupboard under the sink. "This is what I keep in the cupboard under the sink," she said. "The griller. It's for grilling cheese on toast. I just thought you might like some cheese on toast for your supper." But I heard it gargling," Tim said. "Oh, those are just pipes leading to the sink," said Rosa. "They do gargle a bit." The pipes gurgled as he spoke, and the back door opened. "Do you mean there isn't a gorilla after all?" said Tim. The back door shut. "Well, there is a gorilla," said Rosa, "but he's away all evening. He's so shy and retiring. I encourage him to go to an evening class in flower arranging so he can get out and meet people." As she spoke, the gorilla ambled in, bowed to Tim, and gave Rosa a beautifully arranged bowl of red and white roses. Of course, Tim stayed for supper. Rosa made him a cup of tea while the gorilla grilled toasted cheese sandwiches. The cat snacked, the vulture clacked, the wolfhound crunched, and the rabbit nibbled. The gorilla and Rosa and Tim gossiped. The pipes under the sink gargled, or gurgled, and the toasted cheese sandwiches sizzled happily in the griller. Thanks, everybody, for listening to my rendition of The Gargling Gorilla. We hope you're enjoying e-learning at home. See you soon.